There's so many testimonies, so I'll give you guys a few because this has been absolutely amazing for myself and the people I've been able to share this with. But I have to start with this, ladies and gentlemen that are listening for the first time. I was the biggest skeptic about this in the very beginning, and what they say about skepticism is only valid in the absence of proof. And so all the proof is right there in the patent information, all the different testimonies. But I did not believe in this because it was introduced to me coming out of COVID, and I just didn't. I just wasn't open minded about receiving any new information about anything. I worked out 5 days a week, thought I knew all I need to know about health. Boy, was I wrong. And so, with that being said, I just thank God to this day, every single day, that Virginia, you and your husband continue to send information to me and testimonies, because that's what really got me. That's what really got me. After looking at like 20, 30 different testimonies, I was like, all these people can't be lying, right? And so, I removed myself out of that selfish state of mind I was in. And the reason why I say I was selfish is because I was only thinking about myself. I wasn't thinking about the other people that this information can impact. And so when I got my patches from you guys, and it's been amazing. I said, you know what? I've seen several testimonies that had different things that people that I was close to were experiencing and being challenged with. And so the first person that I actually she wasn't my guinea pig, but she was the first person I said, you know what, if these things work, this is the first person I want to help, and that was my mom. And my mom is the only biological parent I have left. All four of my grandparents are transitioned, and my biological father. So I keep her close to my heart. My mom was battling high blood pressure for 30 years, y'all. 30 years, seeing countless doctors, countless medications. Nothing's never worked. Her blood pressure never regulated to a normal level ever. And of course, what comes with that, when your blood pressure is 230 something top number, 100 something bottom number, you have frequent strokes. And January 2024 last year, my mom had a major stroke. She was non-responsive. We thought this was going to be the final chapter of her life. And she had just started patching 2 weeks prior to that, back in the end of November of 2024. And long story short, no, I think that was no December 2023. I want to make sure I get the dates right. Had the stroke in 2024 January, and we kept patching her even during the stroke. She was not responsive. We kept patching my mom, and it took about 4 months. I tell people to give it time. It took my mom 4 months. A couple of weeks later, she started being more responsive, but still had a slur in her speech. In April 2024, my mom's blood pressure did something that it hadn't done in 30 years. It regulated to a normal reading, 132 over 78. I can never forget that number. Hasn't did that in 30 years. When I seen that this worked for my mom, I was all in. That was it. I started using it. I told my kids about it. I got kids in their 20s and 30s, and you gotta let your youth know, because I would have never guessed. A year later, a year passes, I would have never guessed that my son would be in a serious motorcycle accident where he lost his leg in this motorcycle accident. When I say when he lost his leg, that was the minor of that major accident. What was worse is that his upper thigh that was still dangling on there barely, despite loose skin. It was missing so much tissue that his bladder was exposed, because it split from his inner thigh all the way up to his stomach. And so broken hip, everything, rectum completely destroyed. And most people wouldn't live through that, ladies and gentlemen. Again, who would have ever known this was going to happen a year later? And long story short, the doctors are freaked out about this, because the muscles reformed and reformed his rectum. Ain't that crazy? So the colostomy bag removed. All of his tissue grew back in his inner thigh where there was no tissue. I mean, I'm at the doctor, and I'm looking at this, and I can't believe it, because every time I go up there, it's filling in more and more. And I didn't know the body can do that. I know the body is designed to self-heal when it's in a proper frequency, but I never knew the body can do that. And all of his tissue grew back in his inner thigh. So that suprapubic catheter that he had going through his stomach to allow his body to release urine, no longer there. So he's normal from the front and the back. He just got fitted for his prosthetic leg. My son drives every day. Is very active in his kid's life now. And so with that being said, the doctors could not understand. They have never seen anything like this, because now he's a case study at Research Medical Center in Kansas City, Missouri, because they've never seen the body respond like that, is what the doctor said. Doctors from all over the country flew in to see my son's case because they wanted to verify that the reports they were reading were accurate. And so, ladies and gentlemen, my son had been patching for again about a year prior to that accident. So the accident was this year, March 17th this year, and his stem cell count was so active that it was able to place his body in the correct frequency so the body can self-heal. So super amazing. And my issue, my own testimony is my cholesterol. I've been battling cholesterol for 30 years, just hereditary. I don't eat fried food. I'm not obese. I work out 5 days a week, but I've always had high cholesterol, which, can lead to strokes. And that can make a person check out. So after 30 years, I thought this was going to be a permanent part of my life. This is what I love about this. And I tell people, know your numbers. I got my numbers written down. I went and dug all of my old receipts for my annual doctor, my physicals I take every single year. In April 2019, 237. If anyone knows anything about cholesterol, anything over 200, you're at risk for a heart attack. They put you on medication. So April 2019, 237. June of 2020, I was at 220. August of 2021, I was at 226. Again, I'm still on medication, right? 2022, I was at 239. November of 2024, 209, got a little lower. But last year, again, I've been patching every single day. I started patching last year. I didn't even tell my wife when I did it. I quit taking my atorvastatin, is what they give you. And then you got to take the CoQ10 because a lot of consistent use of atorvastatin is bad for your heart. So you have to take the CoQ10 to kind of, offset that. And so I quit taking everything. I said, I'm going to believe in these patches. They're going to work. And ladies and gentlemen, October 2025, my cholesterol reading is 119. And I got the forms and the documents to prove it. So I can keep going on and on, but that's my testimony. And with that, thank you for allowing me to share. I'll pass it back over to you, Mrs. Amon.